Hello everyone. I would like to show you today something different. The images have to come from somewhere, so we have a set of cameras and we have a new series of cameras called Connected Cam. Why are they called Connected Cam? Because they can connect to networks, LTE, Wi-Fi, wired networks, and they have many functions that allow you to stream directly, to send your footage anywhere in the world. And I would like to start my presentation with a video of a customer that is using or has been using our cameras for about 3 years now. You may know the channel if you watch the Astra satellites. It's called Sonnenklar TV. It's a holiday marketing channel.
For some years now, the holiday broadcaster and travel agency Sonnenklar TV in Munich has been relying on JVC cameras for outside broadcasts, utilizing a regular LTE connection. Live images shot by reporters in popular holiday destinations can be streamed quickly and cost-effectively to the main studio at Landsberger Straße from all over the world. These HD live streams form an important part of Sonnenklar's daily broadcasts.
Ja, Wahnsinn. Und da ist Spaß angesagt.
Wir haben heute das Angebot, das Knallerangebot. Das Knallerangebot heißt 2 Wochen Ägypten mit Nilkreuzfahrt und nur 1 Woche bezahlen. Das ist wirklich der Hammer.
Sonnenklar TV is Europe's largest travel channel. We are located here in Munich, and from Munich we broadcast nationwide to German households. We reach 38 million households in Germany, reporting on the latest travel trends and travel information. And we sell these travel packages as well. It is a fascination to have on the one hand the topic of television filled with emotions, and on the other hand the subject of travel, also full of emotions. We connect those two topics with each other. That's our job. We're developing our concepts and what we do. We believe that the future of television lies in live production, when we manage to pick people up and show them the big, wide, colorful world. That's why we broadcast live. But we say we do not just want to broadcast live from the studio, but we'd like to broadcast live from all over the world. That's why we often switch abroad, to the hotels, to our external reporters, and to our agencies where we have our reporters standing by. What could be nicer than to turn on Sonnenklar TV at 9:30 in the morning and then see German TV host Harry Weinfurt having breakfast by the sea? That's what dreams are made of. Dreams that come true.
Hallo Sherry, hier herzliche Grüße an dem Studio und vor allen Dingen herzliche Grüße an unseren Zuschauer von Sonnenklar TV.
In the past, an OB van and satellite technology were needed for a live transmission. Today, Sonnenklar TV uses JVC cameras and a simple LTE dongle that connects to existing mobile networks. JVC's 21st century technology allows Sonnenklar to offer their viewers an exciting new television experience every day. With the challenge that we wanted to evolve television, that we wanted to broadcast live, the question came up how we could achieve that within a reasonable price-performance ratio. The technology we use today fulfills these requirements. We can not only broadcast live and deliver these images live, but on the other hand, we can also finance it. The technology is not only affordable today, but also so flexible that we occasionally are fascinated ourselves. Sometimes I sit in front of the TV and I think this really cannot be true, that we deliver such a brilliant picture of a yacht that's produced live with a manageable technical effort and such a small camera. Of course, that fascinates us a lot.
So this was 3 years ago when they started using the cameras. They have now 12 cameras all over the world in use, and these cameras are using a simple LTE modem to relay the footage to their main studio in Munich. This is the modem they're using. You saw it in the pictures. These cameras are GY HM660s. They're a little bit dated, but we are basically implementing these functions in all our cameras, and we've expanded them. And today I would like to give you an introduction to two new models that we have. They're just part of our large portfolio of products. Of course, we have PTZ cameras, monitors, and other equipment, but we want to focus on the cameras today. So this is the GY HC900. It's a 2/3 inch 3-chip camera with 10-bit 422 processing and capable of doing not only streaming from the camera, but it also has a return video capability. So you can actually send a stream to the camera and watch that as a return video. The output of the stream via one of the SDI outputs on the camera is also possible. The camera is HDR capable, so it has hybrid log gamma and JLog log functions, so you can use it also to produce very high quality color gradable footage. And it has special processing for today's sometimes quite difficult lighting conditions. You have, especially in the music business, event business, often LED lighting with very narrow frequency spectra, so especially if you have blue light like you can see here, you can see the camera performs quite well even under these very difficult conditions. If you have blue LED light, a lot of cameras will not show you a very good picture like you see on the right side there. This is some of the network functionality, so you can send return video, you can also send back IFB, interruptible feedback audio, so you can talk to the camera operator or to the reporter who's conducting an interview. And of course, you can send back the live video, or you can send back through file transfer protocol. And the camera just has learned some new functions in the file transfer protocol, so you can actually send back chunked pieces of the video as it is being recorded. So you can basically have the footage ready by the time the last chunk has arrived in your studio. Connectivity can be through LTE networks, through wired networks, or through Wi-Fi. The camera actually comes with built-in Wi-Fi and supports 2.4 giga and 5 giga networks. This is one of the new functions, the auto FTP. So if you start recording, you press the button, you make your first recording. When you stop it and the recording's on the medium, then it starts uploading that recording. Of course, uploading may be very quick, or it may take a little bit longer depending on your network speed, but it will do it in the background, so you can then basically record another clip and another clip, or like in this portion, you can record proxy files, and what the camera will do, while you're recording the main file, it will split up the proxy file in the background into small chunks and upload them while you're actually recording. So this is the other option. You can basically upload one after the other. And of course, you can also do it offline. So if you're not shooting any footage, you can sit down, you can open the camera media section and then basically edit footage that you have. Let's say you have 1 hour footage. You can set an in point and an out point and edit out maybe 5 minutes of that 1 hour footage and upload only that, because that's the relevant part. So you have a small editing capability in the camera. Another outstanding functionality is SSD recording. The camera can use standard SDHC or SDXC SD card media, but we've expanded recording capabilities by including an extra medium, which is a solid-state disk. It's an M2 solid-state disk, and we have to put it in a small cradle that you can see there in the image. And that medium will allow you to record HD for very, very long recording times. So it will be a ProRes recording with a very high quality and offers you very long recording times in 10-bit 422 quality. This is going to be available as of December. We will update the firmware of the camera, and then this functionality will be available. Firmware updates, in most cases, will be free of charge for existing users, including this one. So these are the options you have. You can basically use slot A to record regular footage and slot B to do a so-called backup recording. Backup recording is not really a backup. Basically what it means is that the medium will record continuously, whereas the medium A here in slot A will be recording when you trigger it. So you have basically a backup of everything that happened around you, even if you forgot to press the trigger button or it was happening too fast for that to be triggered. The camera is not only an ENG and news camera, but you can also use it as a studio camera. All the recording functionality I just explained is still available in the studio function, is an additional function. For that we offer a set of fiber adapters, so you can use long cable runs up to 500 meters. If you use tactical fiber, they can be as long as several kilometers. And the main station that we have here basically can accommodate 3 cameras, so you can have one main station and you can connect 3 individual cameras to it, which is a big space saver, especially if you think about OB vans where space is usually very limited, and also for weight considerations this is a lot lighter than putting 3 main units in your OB van. And these are the studio components. So you see the camera body. Of course, you would probably want to attach a big box lens to it if you're in the event business. Then you have the FS900 camera adapter, which attaches to the camera, and there are no external connections. All the connections are internal, so there's no danger of a cable getting lost or being ripped out by accident. You have the RMLP25 remote control panel, and of course a studio monitor, so you get a full studio system. And it's easily convertible. Should you run into a situation when you need an extra ENG camera, you can just remove the studio monitor. The camera will still run on battery, even with the studio adapter attached to it. So you can just detach your fiber cable, put a battery in the back. It'll be a little heavier because of the studio adapter, which is going to be there, but it will run just normal as an ENG camera. I spoke about connectivity and networking. Of course, when you send video footage over IP networks, there's always a danger that you may lose packets. And we have several solutions that will allow you very big level of flexibility to convert signals from SDI to IP and back to SDI, and also to provide forward error correction. What does forward error correction do? It basically makes the signal more resilient to packet loss. And with the technologies we employ, namely ZXI, you can lose up to 30% of the packets and you will still get a flawless picture at the other end. So first, how do you get the signal from A to B? We have a cooperation with Peplink, and we offer a module which I'm going to use after this presentation to stream a video to YouTube. And this is a bonding solution which allows you to use the 2 LTE channels of 2 SIM cards. You can put up to 4 in there, and will basically create a VPN between the LTE modem and your studio, for instance. You can also use a cloud service to debond the signal, but if you want the full control over the signal, you can just use the debonding router BPL 210, and that will take care of everything. So unlike other services where you have to go through a cloud service, here you can, but you don't have to. So here it is. You can put in 4 SIM cards. 2 will be active at any given time, but if one is, for instance, exhausted its data allowance, it'll switch to the next one. Or if you can't get a network with one provider, it'll try the next one and try to get a network with that. So they can be either from the same provider or they can be from 4 different providers. It depends on the situation. And you can also combine that with wide area networks that come in through a network cable. So we have basically then 3 connections, 2 LTEs and 1 DSL line, for instance, or KA-SAT. Or you can use an existing Wi-Fi signal that you have on the location as a 3rd channel. It's very flexible and configurable, and you can basically choose which of the network connections should be prioritized. There is a USB connector which you can use to connect to our cameras that don't have built-in Wi-Fi or an RJ45 network connector, because we support USB Ethernet connectors, and this machine will act like a USB Ethernet connector, and thus you can connect it also to an HM200, 660, or other camera that doesn't have a direct network connection. This is briefly how it works. So you can use several ISPs, internet service providers, to send your signal and also to receivers. They don't necessarily have to be the same ISPs. And the PEP-Link device, SFE-CAM, creates a virtual private network. That means an encrypted tunnel, so nobody can really see or eavesdrop on your video footage. And it works in many different ways. So if you have several channels, one LTE channel breaks, it uses the other one, and it tries to smooth out the data transfer. So this is much safer than using just one LTE signal. But what about error correction? Well, sometimes even with the best network, some packets will be lost. So we have another device. This is, we call it the ZXI Z-Ramp decoder. ZXI is a forward error correction protocol. As I mentioned, it can correct up to 30% packet loss. And this is a decoder that can decode either 2 or 4 channels and route them to 4 different IP outputs. So the signal would go in, be decoded, and then sent to the device of choice that you want to have. And this is a typical example in comparison. If you use UDP, which is the simplest protocol, even 0.1% packet loss will be clearly visible in the picture. 1% packet loss in UDP renders an unusable image. It'll be full of blocks and the audio will be squeaking, so it's unusable. If you use SMPTE 2022 forward error correction, that's much, much better. You can have 3% packet loss. Many cases, if you have a good network, that's sufficient. But if you have a really difficult situation with a ZXI, you can have up to 30% packet loss. And then you're safe even with a very lousy network connection. And this is basically the idea. You have sometimes, especially if you're using mobile applications, you have drops in the signal because when you move around, a wireless network never delivers the same quality in every spot where you are. So if there are drops, then there will be packet loss. So the resulting image would be like the lower one on the right side. But thanks to ZXI, that will be corrected and you will get a clear image and clear audio. And this is how you can use it. So you can route differently. You can have one input going out to several outputs, or you can have one input going to one output. There is a web interface for this device, so you can basically change it as you need it. And this is a typical scenario. You have 2 cameras feeding the PEPWave device that goes through the intranet cloud, and the signals are being received on the other side with the BPL210, and that will then send the signals, for instance, to 2 decoders, which will turn the signal back into SDI. Now this could work if you have a good network connectivity with SMPTE 2022, which you can activate in the camera free of charge, and also the decoders will support that. If you have not such a good network, you can add the ZXI device by just plugging in one network cable. All the signals will be going back and forth through this one network cable, and it will do the decoding and send the signals as UDP to the 2 decoders. In this case, you can basically live with 20–25% packet loss, up to 30%. There's another functionality. As I mentioned, the cameras support audio and video return, so this would be the configuration. Even if you're working outside in a wireless environment, you can still send audio back to the camera and or video by using encoders that provide that. So this is the HC900. Most of what I said for the HC900 is also true for the smaller handheld HC500 or 550. These are the handheld cameras. And the 500 series is more or less the successor of the 600 series, which has been introduced in 2012. So now we have 2019, and we're on the verge of shipping this new camera. So the one you're seeing here is still a prototype, but it will be shipping within November. So what's new with this camera? It's a single chip, 1-inch sensor camera, which delivers 10-bit 422 recordings in ProRes quality in 4K at 50 or 60 frames per second. And it has many, many other features. And of course, it has all the network connectivity. The recording for the ProRes signal, because of the high bitrate that you need, will be on SSD drives. There are two cameras, and here I've outlined the differences between the two. So you see all the network connectivity is also in the smaller 500 camera, which retails at about 3,000 euros. And if you want extra functionality, like for instance built-in Wi-Fi, you can use Wi-Fi with the 500 by using a Wi-Fi dongle, but if you want to have it built in, then you can use the 550, which is slightly higher. Another interesting function this camera has to offer is a switchable infrared filter. So if you want to shoot wildlife at night, or you're in the investigative police work business, you can switch off the infrared filter. It's actually mechanically removed from the sensor, and then the camera becomes a night vision camera. If you have an infrared light, then you can see a black and white picture with this camera and record it. And this is, again, the SSD recording capability. Again, we use a standard M2 solid-state disk, the type that you would find in many laptop computers. And if you use a 1 terabyte medium in ProRes in the highest quality, you get 90 minutes recording. Don't be confused that there's 75 and 90 minutes posted there. The 75 minutes are for 60 hertz system. We here in Europe have 50 hertz, so we get a little bit fewer frames, which translates into a longer recording time. And of course, if you use the standard ProRes quality, you get over 2 hours or more than 3 hours in ProRes 422 LT with a 1 terabyte medium. Of course, you can use a 2 terabyte or even 4 terabyte if you want. This is just a brief list of the very many codecs this camera supports. So it uses ProRes, it can do H.264, and it can even do the old MPEG-2 standard. So if you have an older editing system, you can use MPEG-2 in HD and record in 35 megabit. And with the new software that we will introduce in December, it will also be able to record just like the 900 in HD on these SSD media, and that would give you several thousand minutes of recording time. You can see that here below. On a 1 terabyte, you get 3,000 minutes. That means more than a day of full recording in HD without interruptions. For surveillance purposes or animal watching, this could be a very interesting option. So why did we choose Apple ProRes? Because it's an iframe only codec, so it doesn't care about the previous and the following frames content. If you have, for instance, sports content with fast motion and you use a shutter on the camera and an encoder like H.264, which has to look for similarities in images, will have a hard time compressing that signal. But since this compresses each frame on its own, it basically doesn't care about previous or following images, so it gives you a very, very high quality. Combine that with the capability to use hybrid log gamma, which this camera also has, and you can use this camera for very high-end productions with color grading and after shooting. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the end of my presentation. I'll be here throughout the day if you have any questions. Thank you.